They pray as a community. In the old days, the priest prayed for the community, and he prayed with his back to the audience, the assembly, the congregation, whatever you want to call it. And so a lot of these rubrics started to change. And part of that change was they produced several documents at Vatican II. One of them was called the Lumen Gentium, and that's basically the outline for the church. And that is what started, again, the diaconate, especially in the United States. So next year, 2018, there'll be a convention in New Orleans, where I came from, for the 50th year of the diaconate in the United States. So we're relatively new. There's 18, as of right now, there's about 18,000 of us in the United States, which means we, for what we have, it doesn't sound like a big number, but compared to other countries, which obviously are much smaller, we're pretty large diaconate in the United States, and it's an active diaconate.
Is it growing in the United States?
It is. It is growing. It is growing. And there's a big move in the United States to try to, after Vatican II, when this first got started, number one, if you wanted to be a deacon in those first classes, it probably only would have taken you a year and a half to 2 years. So it was kind of a very quick training to get into it, and it's really taken 50 years of some concentration to get it to the level that it is right now in the United States, and I think that level is starting to change also, starting to evolve.
In what way?
Well, the requirements are different.
Harder or easier?
I don't know as you could limit it to harder or easier. It's just
All right,
different.
more time, less time.
How about we say this? What they're looking at is, originally, it was generally, the deacons were people that were retired, okay? Because they had extra time, and they could do some of this stuff. And they didn't travel a lot, so they were there to help with the liturgies on the weekends, da-da-da-da-da-da. But they found out that what they need is some young blood. So in the past, I don't know how many years, but ever since before, when even I got involved in this thing, they had gone after people that they're recruiting people and letting people in. The age has dropped to 35 now. You only have to be 35 to be considered for the diaconate. Before it was in the 40s, late 40s and all this, so they've dropped that age down, because what we're missing is somebody to work with the younger portion of the people of God. Much the same as, you know, Ireland is having a huge problem with their priests. And it's because they're all over 70. There's only one priest in Ireland that's under 70, and he's in his early 60s. There are several priests in Ireland that are over 90. So, and Ireland's having a critical problem with priests. And in the 50s and 60s, Ireland had over 40 seminaries, training priests. And now the country has.
Well, Dominic, wasn't he?
So the church is changing, the face of the church is changing, and one of the things that is changing is looking at how does the church give the people the food that they need to increase their relationship with their Creator. it's a problem. The deacon's part of that solution, but not the only part of that solution. So anyway, the diaconate came through in Vatican II. And what I've given you is from the Lumen Gentium. Those are the original 11 faculties of a deacon. Assist the bishop and the presbyters, that's the priests, in the liturgy. To administer baptism solemnly, to be the custodian of the Eucharist, to carry viaticum to the dying, which is the Eucharist, and to give the Eucharistic blessing of benediction, to preside at marriages, to administer sacramentals, should be an S on that, and to preside at funerals, to proclaim the gospel liturgically, and to preach, to preside at the liturgy of the hours, to direct the liturgy of the word, to fulfill the obligations of charity and administration, to guide scattered Christian communities, and to promote and support the lay apostolate. Okay.
So you say duties here, and then you've used the word faculties. Are there two different words?
Nope, they're two different words for the same thing. I'm going to give you a copy of Drew's letter. So obviously that's kind of proprietary, so I wouldn't pass it out to anybody. But this is the list of duties now, or faculties, in the Diocese of Salt Lake City. And these will be granted to the deacons and to the candidates when they are ordained a deacon. They'll go in your permanent file. And so you can see basically the 11 are there to assist the bishop, along with the ordinary ministers of Holy Communion, and that's why the lay people are called the extraordinary ministers of communion. Solemnly proclaim the gospel, that's liturgically and that functions. Baptize, to baptize one who's completed his 14th year. We can baptize anybody. The one they're talking about here would be for the RCIA or the RCIC, whichever, 14th year, without previously referring the matter to the diocesan bishop. To witness marriages within the boundary of the parish, to bring viaticum to the dying, there it is again. To preside as appropriate at church funeral rites, especially in the absence of a priest. The faculty to allow church funeral rites of baptized, faculty to preside at benediction of the sacrament. And that, I don't know how big benediction is, or holy hour is, by benediction in the different parishes that you're in. St. Mary's does it once a week, and we all take turns at that. But that's
Could you elaborate? I really don't know what that is.
the benediction.
Yeah.
Okay, it goes along with adoration,
Okay.
Exposition of the Eucharist, is that
Yeah.
what along with that?
which is where we expose the Holy Eucharist. And that can be done a couple of different ways. Number one is usually, and the church picks a day, and they'll have a day of adoration. Some churches do it every week. Some will do it, and my experience at St. Mary's is we do it once a month. And what we do then is the priest, after morning mass, will put the Blessed Sacrament, the body of Christ, in what we call the monstrance. It's kind of a big round thing like that, and right in the middle is the body of Christ. Kind of looks like this.
So I know what a monstrance is. We have adoration on Thursdays,
You have adoration on Thursday, okay.
but we don't have a deacon exposing it for us.
Well, who put it out in the first place? Priest, probably,
Right,
right?
priest.
Okay, then he goes away. Then your adoration is simply going in and spending time with the Lord, quiet time. All right, so that can go on. Some people do it for some parishes do it for 24 hours. Some do it, we do it for 9 at St. Mary's. And at the last hour, At the end of that period, whether it is, starts at A and ends at Z, let's say, I don't care what it is, you do a benediction. And that benediction is a liturgy. And that's usually done by, it can be done by the priest, but it's usually done by the deacons. We rotate. So all of us up there, we have 2 priests and 2 deacons, so we each do one a month.
Is that what you've done?
All right? And at the end of this, there are certain prayers that are done, songs that are sung. It's usually on the back of the missalette and things like this.
Okay.
And there is a blessing given to the community.
So the blessing is the benediction?
Yes, the whole, that's
Because we
whole
put-
liturgy is the benediction.
Oh, then-
Because we repose the Blessed Sacrament, and we sing the songs,
Right.
but we don't do the
Benediction.
blessings. So are we as lay people allowed to do that?
It can be done by a layperson, yes.
Okay.
The preference is to have somebody that is an ordained cleric do it. It can be done by a layperson, yes.
Okay.
Okay? So that's what the benediction is. We're, okay? So anyway, these are signed, and there's a seal that goes on here, da-da-da-da-da. Dispense individual cases, penance, faculty dispense in individual cases for just reason from the Eucharistic feast. This is all kinds of, will be explained in better detail as you get closer to this.
Hey, what is 12?
Well, the
Faculty
faculty
dispense.
dispense in individual cases for a just reason from the Eucharistic fast.
That's when you've eaten less than 1 hour.
Right.
So if you want to go to daily
Oh,
mass,
oh.
If you have a health condition that requires you to eat something like that, yeah, you can dispense with that.
Okay.
And of course, when you reach a certain age, you dispense with it automatically if you want. You know, like if you're over 60 during Lent, you can eat meat on Friday. My wife won't let me. Why don't we take about 5 minutes and stretch your legs before we go much further?
will you be in Park City tomorrow?
What?
Will you be in Park City tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Sunday, yeah, I got the 8 o'clock mass.
Oh, too early. What time are the masses there?
8 and 9:30.
Oh, I guess
And
we're
1
going.
o'clock is the Spanish mass.
So 9:30. My wife and I are going to Park City after we're done here.
9:30 mass at the White Pine Church, the WPC White Pine Church, or the OTC, the Old Town Chapel, which is the church that's up on the hill right downtown in Park City. That's the 8 o'clock mass. It's the only time you use that church.
Sometimes.
They have a 9:30 church.
9:30.
Community.
Yeah, at the White Pine Church, and that's the big one, that's an English mass. And